So let me start this, my introduction as a person to Goldratt happened about 14 years back when I read the book Goal, because I moved into Delhi to run a business. A friend of mine gifted. I found it a little useful. I thought I was practicing it in parts. But you know how much little you can learn when you read.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
In between. You were in Airtel at that time or you were somewhere else?
Okay, I'll give you a brief description. My work experience is about 24 years. For 13 odd years, I was with Hindustan Lever. And about 11 years back, I moved to Airtel. So the first experience hit me when I was with Hindustan Lever and we had bought over a small company called Modern Foods, which is a bakery business. And the first time I was getting into manufacturing, so I had read the book Goal and tried to practice it. And luck would have it, the results were immensely unbelievable. So I started believing in it a lot more. 10 years, nothing much happened, to be honest. 2 years back, I came and met Ravi. And then I attended a program of his like this in Bangalore. Post that, what I did is I got my top team who works with me. I moved in as, to give a small background, I've been always a sales, marketing and a business guy. 2 years back when we restructured Airtel, I moved into customer experience because there were a lot of processes that we needed to fix. I thought I would gain from TOC and others. So that's when I met Ravi, attended a program, and then realized that I needed a little more awareness inside our organization, and me and my first line got into it. We did a program and another program with the next line of team. So about 40, 45 of us went through this program. What happened and what is it that we do? I think the first benefit you get is the first day session when you write the UDEs. The biggest benefit in writing UDEs is that it clarifies to you. You know, some of the benefits I seem to be realizing over a period of time. It never hits you the first time you do it. It is so painful to write an UDE. It's almost that you don't have a great UDE. But when you start writing this, you struggle to put down an UDE because you're also worried about the constraints yourself. So I realized, I used to sit in my room and I used to think I'm such a lousy guy. So I used to sit in my room for hours together trying to write an UDE and this cloud. And I would struggle, almost to the point of feeling quite miserable about it. Then we tried something else. I asked the team to come and explain a problem of theirs. When they start talking, and all I had to do was say, okay, then what, because, why not? You know, kept probing. I then realized, while they were talking across the table, I could start scribbling the UDE and the cloud. So why am I giving this example? The first time when you start writing, it looks very difficult. You must have solved at least 1 or 2 UDEs yesterday. Clouds. One. You do realize, other than the person who is writing it, whose UDE it was, everyone else has great clarity on it.
We experienced that yesterday.
Yes? So I also experienced the same. So the best thing is to have someone in your team to talk about the problem and you start helping them as if you're a Jonah. And you start helping and framing UDEs. You don't have to tell them that you're doing this. This is my personal experience, that is when you start writing an UDE. Otherwise, it is very easy to give it up. I know lots of people who attended programs but don't continue on it. The second caution that I have as you play with this, and I'm here honestly speaking because I can't tell you how much benefit we got out of it. I can take you through some of the cases that we've done. And it's reasonably unbelievable benefits that we've got out of following this practice. The second thing that happens is when people go out of a training program, my team came and said, you know, Raghu, what I did? Next day I called all my team and also briefed them. So I had to caution them. I said, you know, the purpose of you and I getting trained is for us to implement, not to train anyone else. You know, there is a lot of comfort in going and giving yarn to someone else rather than implementing it yourself. So the first pitfall that happens in most teams is you go and give it and you expect a change in them without expecting a change in ourselves. I thought that struggle is what we went through a lot of. Some of the team members who started practicing benefited immensely and we could see the difference. Over a year, what I'm noticing, and 1.5 years now, is I've started trying to do these ODs with teams of my teams. The way we are organized is telecom is organized like circles. Each state is almost like a P&L. So we have a function called customer service there. So when I start writing ODs, what is happening is the clarity that OD brings in your own role. Let me give a crude example. There is a person who's supposed to run the call centers. And I ask them, what is your OD? Network complaints are going up. So you probe deeper, you realize they can't influence it. It's a network guy who has to influence. But what they can do is, they call it their problem. So ultimately they'll never solve it. They'll feel quite frustrated and moan and bitch about everyone else. So finally we realize these type of ODs are actually, those are complaints, they're actually not ODs. It's like saying the network guy is not doing his job. So what we started doing is to use ODs to clarify what is under their scope of influence. Actually, if you see the definition of ODs, it's so beautiful. You should have attempted it a few times. And it should be in your sphere of influence, if there are two things. And the most important is I or we are unable to, because then the responsibility is. I do know sometimes it looks silly when you write an OD or something that, why do I need to put it only in these words? But actually when you start writing it only in these words, it clarifies, it brings great amount of clarity in people's thoughts. This is the first step of actually when we started implementing ODs. And then we started writing clouds. And I'll give you so let me give you an example of what it is. It's as stupid a thing as we have started moving towards laying fiber in houses. And most of our network on fixed line is copper. So when you move from a copper to a fiber for a certain house, or a customer moved, we said the switches that control them are different. So hence the number that I give you is different. It's as simple a problem as this. So you shifted from, in Gurgaon, if you know, an Aralias to a Magnolias. Aralias is on copper, Magnolias on fiber. And a customer said, I am a rented person here, I moved into my own flat. We told you, sorry, your number will be different. And all operators, I was told to say this. All we wrote was OD was, we will not change this number. And you went because. The IT guy told me, fly off. But finally you come back and say, it is such a simple thing. You got to put a connecting wire between the two switches. It's as stupid as that. I know I'm simplifying it, my IT guy will murder me if I hears this, but all I'm saying is, it is these assumptions that kill us. The second example I will give you is this entire area of ODs for project management. A simple, if any of you has an office and your office needs a connectivity of a 4 Mbps line, we used to take almost for feasibility 7 days. And the industry norm was 4 to 7 days. And I thought everyone accepted it. The question was, we sat with the team and told them, why didn't you write your OD for it? And I tell you the first pitfall of an OD. He said from 6 days, I want to move to 3 days. And I think this entire theory of constraint failed when the target was so small. So we wrote down and finally we said, let's dream as if you're an owner and there is a magic wand and it can happen. So finally the business guy Ashish told me, okay Raghu, give it to me in 1 hour. And then everyone said not possible. And we started going through. Actually we now deliver in about 10 minutes of quotation online, sitting in front of the customer, from something that took us 6 days. Why am I saying this? The biggest fear I think we have is in actually writing an OD. It is not the cloud that is as worrying to me. And to dream big in an OD is what is very critical. And whenever you start taking and putting these big targets, almost to the belief that I am not the guy who's going to do this. The biggest fear that holds us back is that, oh God, I only am committing this target and I am going to fall flat on my face. If you start believing it is someone else's job, and I am the Lord and Master who is going to give a command and an instruction, and I dream as an entrepreneur, I think then it starts working much better. So we've got a series of projects. I was actually listing down about a month back. We had some 84 projects like this we could actually solve through constraints with phenomenally different benefits. What happens in the team slowly? And I think that is the most critical thing for me, more than even solving a set of half a dozen problems. What happens to the team is a lot more confidence. having seen one or two things that they did which they personally thought was impossible, they start smiling at problems now. You know, there is a discussion recently I had, and I was actually telling Ravi this. Suddenly one of my guys smiles or smirks in the corner and says, "Tu tega boss." For those who know Hindi, it's almost like saying, "Har pattar at some time will break." So, you know, he just smiles so there's almost a silent smile that happens in team members when someone comes and tells them this can't be done. So this general belief is, we'll attack it, I'm sure we'll find an answer. I think that fear of failure, I think, along with that goes away. And having succeeded 2, 3, and the whole organization toasts them, they don't mind a few failures. So, and then they start attempting more. And I thought this is the big benefit I saw out of this whole process. Quite a few of our teams have gone through this. We are now trying to do at least the UDE writing through the next line of people. More importantly, actually this year, to clarify their own targets and own deliverables from their point of view. My big worry is otherwise that they start chasing wrong targets, like the call center guy trying to chase the network guy, and the network guy chasing someone else. And everyone chases someone else's target and not their own. And I thought that was the big clarity that changed for us. So this is my experience over the last almost 2 years with the theory of constraints. And it's a reasonable belief in our own organization that this should do well. And this is a methodology that we should start following. Though not fully with all the functions, but some of us have started believing that this will
work. How many people have been trained in TOC thinking process in your organization?
Actually, 2 batches of 20 each, 22 odd each, 44. But I'll give you the 2 examples. One is me and my next line, which is about 18 of us, we got trained first. We have been using it more. So we have seen success of results. What has happened to the rest is they sit away individually in each circle or each state. So they have not been practicing much. But I won't worry about it much, but because when we gave them solutions or targets, at least now they don't smirk and say not possible.
Raghu, can you, if it is possible, can you show us a cloud?
I mean, it's a project for you, or it's only this bunch of 24 odd people that are trained and they manage on their own?
See, I run the customer service department, and I'll tell you what change we did. Normally, when you wanted a process correction or a change, everyone would go and tell someone who is actually running the process, saying that you guys run this process, come back with a suggestion. Very often, it is difficult for the operating team to suggest. There are some more calls that we had taken. We actually said the top 15 of us are the only guys who will write every process. We said the rest of the organization implements process. We will not ask the implementer to design the process. Because the way I really understood is, down the line in the hierarchy, and the belief is we'll train everyone down the line and they'll do it. Actually, by the very nature that they're lower down in the hierarchy of the organization and the problems they face, they see big constraints and little opportunity. When we start solving problems ourselves, you see big opportunity and constraints which don't look so scary. Because their sphere of influence is so low, they don't think they can change anything beyond their elbows. So very rarely.
Picture also.
Huh?
At the lower level, they don't have the whole picture also.
Whole picture also. So very often you ask them to come with a new process, like we tried Six Sigma in the company for many years. They'll come with very incremental steps which can only move their elbow a little more. They just don't, someone doesn't ask them, why don't you break the whole building in the walls? It's that reason that we stepped back and said, we will start saying process only in there. So we did some more changes at a more cultural level, and we said, things like, because we wanted senior guys to write process, we said you can't come into a meeting with a subordinate in your next to you. Either you come fully prepared or you don't have the meeting. So, I remember moving into this function first, the first guy walked in, he came with his subordinate, and another guy, third guy came with his laptop, and they put up the full charge. So, I used to tell them this is not a Hindu marriage wedding invitation, family, friends, and relatives. This invite is only for you, so you come prepared or you don't come. The big problem is that.
So the input that you got into student training and then you are on your own.
It was all sheer attempting.
Okay.
It is sheer doggedness to believe that this will work in practice.
Okay.